The sun dipped low on the horizon, casting long shadows across the bustling streets of New York City. Amidst the sea of hurried faces and honking taxis, an old man with weathered skin and kind eyes sat on a tattered cardboard box, his wrinkled hands outstretched. This was James Thompson, a wealthy businessman who had traded his tailored suits for threadbare rags. His salt and pepper hair was unkempt, and his once polished shoes were now scuffed and worn. Passers-by hurried past, barely sparing a glance at the seemingly destitute figure. But James wasn't truly homeless. He was a man on a mission. His son, Michael, a successful lawyer with chiseled features and piercing blue eyes, had stubbornly refused to settle down. At 35, Michael was more interested in climbing the corporate ladder than finding love. As the evening crowd thinned, a young woman with caramel skin and curly hair caught James' eye. She paused, her warm brown eyes meeting his gaze. Without hesitation, she reached into her purse and placed a few dollars in his cup. "God bless you," James murmured, his voice gravelly from disuse. The woman, Olivia, smiled softly. "Are you hungry, sir?" "I could buy you a sandwich if you'd like." James nodded gratefully, touched by her kindness. As they walked to a nearby deli, he couldn't help but think she might be perfect for Michael. Over the next few weeks, James continued his charade, watching as Olivia's acts of kindness became a daily ritual. She would bring him coffee, share stories about her day, and even offer to help him find shelter. Little did she know, James was carefully orchestrating a plan to introduce her to his son. One rainy afternoon, Michael's sleek black Audi pulled up to the curb where James sat. The young man's face was a mask of frustration as he stepped out, umbrella in hand. "Dad, this has gone on long enough," he hissed, glancing around nervously. "You can't keep pretending to be homeless. What if someone from the company sees you?" James looked up at his son, a mischievous twinkle in his eye. "I'm not leaving until you agree to meet someone," he said firmly. Michael sighed, running a hand through his perfectly styled hair. "Fine, but this is the last time," he conceded. Just then, Olivia rounded the corner, her bright yellow raincoat a beacon in the dreary weather. She stopped short at the sight of Michael, confusion etched across her features. James stood slowly, a grin spreading across his face. "Olivia, my dear, I'd like you to meet my son, Michael." The shock on both their faces was palpable. Olivia's eyes widened as realization dawned, while Michael's jaw dropped in disbelief. You're not really homeless." Olivia stammered, her voice a mix of hurt and bewilderment. James chuckled softly, placing a hand on each of their shoulders. "No, my dear. But I am a father who wants nothing more than to see his son happy. And you, Olivia, have shown more kindness and compassion in these past weeks than I've seen in a lifetime." Michael's anger melted away as he looked at Olivia, really seeing her for the first time. Her genuine concern for his father, even in his disheveled state, spoke volumes about her character. And Olivia, despite her initial shock, found herself drawn to Michael's piercing gaze and the obvious love he had for his father. As the rain continued to fall, the three of them stood in a moment of suspended reality. James watched with satisfaction as Michael offered Olivia his umbrella, their hands brushing ever so slightly. The spark was undeniable, and James knew his plan had worked. In the weeks that followed, Michael and Olivia's relationship blossomed. They bonded over their shared experiences with James, laughing at his elaborate scheme and marveling at the lengths he'd gone to bring them together. What had started as a deception had turned into something real and beautiful. Months later, as James watched Michael and Olivia exchange vows under a canopy of twinkling lights, he couldn't help but smile. His unorthodox matchmaking may have been unconventional, but it had led to a love story for the ages. As he raised a glass to toast the happy couple, James knew that sometimes the greatest acts of love require a little bit of mischief and a whole lot of faith.